should see aright. This is important. Also, brothers and sisters, when we look at this idea of obedience, Allah Ta'ala has put a premium on obeying one's parents. As he says, that would be chapter 17, verse 23. He says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقضى ربك ألا تعبدوا إلا إياه وبالوالدين إحسانا إما يبلغن عندك الكبر أحدهما أو كلاهما فلا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما وقل لهما قولا كريما. Allah Ta'ala says that He has decreed and ordained that you should worship none but Him, and that you should be kind to your parents, whether one or both of them attain old age in their lifetime. Say not to them a word of contempt, nor repel them, but always address them in terms of honor. Allah Ta'ala, He equates, or He puts together two things. He says, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Worship Him and respect your parents in terms of obedience to them. Because when we obey our parents in righteousness, we are obeying Allah Ta'ala Azza wa Jal. When we are obeying the Prophet ﷺ, we are obeying Allah Ta'ala Azza wa Jal. My point is that whomever He has put over us as custodians to care for our needs and to give us direction in life, we should obey them, we should follow them. And this seems to be a big trouble amongst the ummah, in that we don't respect leadership, we don't respect the guidelines of instructions from the Quran, we don't respect the office of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In some cases, we find that we break down in some of the core areas in this religion of unity. And when we're not united, when we're not treating people fairly, when we're engaged in unnecessary and illicit violence, all of these things are contradictory actions against the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is totally against the way of Allah Ta'ala Azza wa Jal, Sunnatullah. That is, He is about peace, He is about kindness, He is about love, He is about fairness and justice. And He sent one amongst us, that being His Prophet, to kinder and to foster these type of attitudes and feelings within the human spirit, so that we could be a model example to the world, to the community, to ourselves even. That is, that we live an honorable and respectful life in terms of submitting to right-mindedness, submitting to true guidance. And this also includes, to some dismay sometimes to others, we have to understand we have to respect the laws of the land. The laws of the land, in this case that being America, we respect the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States was not something just written by men off the top of their heads. There's evidence that Thomas Jefferson was one who utilized the precepts that comes from the Holy Quran, point blank. If you research history, you'll find that Thomas Jefferson, he researched the Quran, and he utilized precepts from Quran as it relates to equality and other measures that give due justice to all human beings. So we have to know that the core of good that exists in the nucleus of the United States government, we are obligated to respect these things and adhere to these things, because all good actually comes from Allah Ta'ala Azza wa Jal. Anything that you hear of good, example, it is against the law to go out and rob somebody, shoot somebody, murder somebody, rape somebody. But when you investigate religious history, that's a standard throughout all religious books. If you go to the Torah, if you go to the Injil, if you go to Quran, if you go to the Zabur, you'll find the same measure of morality. No killing, no stealing, no rape. All these things are consistent to human society. So when you look at the core values in the Constitution of the United States, you'll find that they are all rooted predominantly in what was sent prior to the Constitution even being in existence. Therefore, brothers and sisters, we are supposed to support good, respect good, and not be peace breakers, but always try to be peacemakers. So, in conclusion, we'd like to emphasize that we have to obey Allah Ta'ala Azza wa Jal, submit to His word. Because what happens, the more we submit to Him, the closer He brings us to Him. We have to follow the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and obey him. Because when we do that, Allah Ta'ala loves us and He brings us close to Him. And we have to respect those charged with authority over us. In history, we find there was a companion of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He had a huge fire built. And he reminded the people, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, follow me, right? They acknowledged, yes, he did. He said, okay, build the fire. They built the fire. He said, okay, get in the fire. The people were about to go into the fire. And then one young one from amongst them said, we were beckoned to run from the fire, not go to the fire. If the Prophet ﷺ wants us to go in the fire, we will follow you in what you have requested. And he went to the Prophet ﷺ, this young man, and asked, should we have obeyed the one charged with authority over us and go into the fire? The Prophet ﷺ said, no, for had you entered into the fire, you would have never been released from it. And he said, obedience is only due in righteousness. Obey your leadership when they invite you to righteousness. But if there's a difference of opinion, you have to respect the leadership, even though you don't agree with what they're saying, as long as they're not saying something that is haram. So if they're not inviting us to shirk or something that is haram, other than shirk, any other major sin, then we have to respect the leadership. We have to follow the leadership, not to cause disunity in the ummah. This is very important. So brothers and sisters, inshallah, hopefully we could find some insight in these short words. This is to be a short talk. We hope you can find solace and guidance in these words. Tabarak asma rabbika dhil jalali wal ikram. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.